Good day, everyone. Welcome to Envision English. Today, in this series of lectures, Grade 10 Cbse English, we are going to have a look into that. A Tiger in the Zoo. A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris, is a Welsh poet. And now, before we have a look into that poem, we have to understand some glossaries that will help you to read the poem. What are they? Stacks, which means follows, vivid, and which means bright colored. Here the word pads represents the paws of tiger, the foot of tiger, and rage, it means anger. Let me to read the first stanza of the poem. He stacks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. He represents the tiger, as it is a personification that you know. He follows the bright colored stripes in his skin. He don't have anything to follow. He is not able to see the other animal to follow. He is not able to see anything to follow. So that it follows the black stripes. And it walks few steps in his cage. It walks only few steps in his cage. Now we have to understand this with reference to another line. Walks few steps in his cage and run thousands of steps in a forest. Now the tiger is able to run thousands of steps in the forest. If it is free in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, thousands of steps it will go. Thousands of kilometers it will walk. But it is being arrested in a normal cage. It may not be able to walk more than a few steps. It is not able, if it is running for a kilometers now, it will be seeing new different things. It may have adventures, but here it has nothing to follow. That's why it saw its own skin and it is following it, and it is having a small walk of few steps. And the pads, which means the pads, the foot is looking like a velvet pad. But here we have to understand that mood is, of course, it is not at all going anywhere. It is only in the cage. So the foot is like a velvet pad. It is very smooth. Now we have to understand on another line. With the help of another line we can understand. But its mood is rage. It was tensed. If it is walking in a forest here and there means, if it is walking in a rock and stone, in the thorn and in the natural habitat means, definitely its foot, its pad might not be like a velvet one, but its mind will be. But its mind will have the peace of mind. But now the pad is soft like a velvet, but its mind is tensed. It is in a rage, and in this situation it is living. But what it should have done, how it should have lived. He should be lurking. Lurking means secretly watching in a shadow. That, as you know, the habit of a tiger, it will be secretly watching in the shadow of some tree. Or else it will be watching. And it will be sliding through the long grass, not a small grass. There will be a long grass and it will be sliding. It will be playing. And then near the water storage, there will be the water storage and plump deer paws. So now, when you understand the poem in a reverse style, in a reverse manner, that you can understand easily. There are plump deer. The plump deer is there. Why the plump deer is there? There is a water hole. In nearby the water hole, there is a grass. In this place, it is lurking in a shadow. It is secretly waiting for the plump deer. So each and everything is interconnected. There is a plump deer because there is a water hole. Because of the water hole, there is a long grass. In the long grass, it is playing, it is sliding. And because if there is a grass now, there will be the green tree. There will be, and also in this stanza we can understand he should be lurking because it has its own place of privacy. It can lurk, it will be lurking, it will be hiding itself, it will be secretly waiting for someone. It had a private space, it had a place to wait. But here it has no place to have its own privacy because it was in the cage. The cage is filled with the bars so that everyone can see. So the animals, even it can be animal, its privacy is lost. And in this situation, now we have to look back. If it is in the forest now, what type of life it should have been living? So what it will do when it is in a forest? It should be scaring the people. Now just imagine that now the people became a spectator for the tiger. But if it is in a forest, mean that you can understand what it might have done. But it should be scaring the people of whose house is located nearby the forest. If it is in the boundary of a tiger na, it will come and scare them. Scare them with white teeth and also claws. Then entire village, if for example if there is a circus, it is coming now, the entire village will be happy to see the tiger, to see the lion, to see the elephant. But if a wild tiger is coming into the village means then everyone will be scared. So because of its situation, being a prisoner of time, being a prisoner of situation, now everything is happened vice versa. Now everything is happened without its permission. Again, what it is doing in a zoo. Yeah, it is in a zoo, that's why it don't like anyone. That is the first stanza. In second stanza, if it is in a forest now, what it might have done, this is we have discussed it. And the last one what we have to discuss is but now what it is doing. It is locked in a concrete cell. It is locked in a concrete cell. So now we have to compare the concrete cell with the grassland, waterhole, plum deer, that and all. His strength behind the bar is being exhausted. So here the entire strength it is using only to walk a few steps. But if it is in a forest now you can imagine the plump deer. The plump deer means healthy deer. If how it will run and how it will chase, and it will be having a healthy environment. But here behind the bars, its entire power is exhausted. It became nothing. So that it started to ignore the visitors. And if because of its inability to handle the situation, so it is there, it can able to catch even a deer which was a healthy deer. Now it is not able to do anything. That's why it started to hate, it started to get irritated because of the visitors. And the brilliant eyes of a tiger is looking at the brilliant moon. So now the brilliant eyes, it is in the cage, whereas the brilliant moon, it is in the space. So the cage and the space, it represent that one is locked and another one is free. So that from the cage, it is looking at the moon. It represents, it wants to be free like a moon. Here, let us have a look into the poetic devices used in this poem. Personification. Here, the tiger is personified as he. What is personification? Giving a human attributes or characteristics to the non-human thing is called personification. So here in the first line, in the first word itself, tiger is mentioned as he. So the first poetic device we are finding is that personification. And here the tiger's pad is called as a velvet. That's why it can be compared with the metaphor and enjambment. As what is the definition of enjambment? If a sentence is moving to the next line without any punctuation means it's called enjambment. So when you are reading the text, if it is given in a question paper means if there is no punctuation in a first line and also it is moving to the next line and the third line only there is one punctuation means second line or third line means it can be called as a enjambment. And also imagery. Here he tries to create the image of the tiger. Here he tries to create, or author tries to present the image of the tiger in front of us. So for example, when you read the first stanza, you can see that few steps of his cage, so that it will show the image in front of you. So that imagery and consonants, assonance and oxymoron. The first one, consonants, is that use of the sound stakes his stripes. The consonant sound is getting repeated, and assonance, the vowel sound is getting repeated, where in his vivid stripes. And also oxymoron, use of adjective opposite, the opposite adjectives, that is quiet, rage. So that from here we can understand. So in this first stanza, we have discussed personification, as the tiger is compared with the he, personified as he, metaphor, enjambment, imagery, consonants, assonance, and also oxymoron. And also in stanza 2, enjambment is there and alliteration is there. In this poem, alliteration we are coming across for the first time. The use of the sound P at the start of two words, the plum pass. So it can be called as alliteration. Theme of the poem is a restriction of power and also alienation, displacement, longingness for past and longingness for future, slavery and helplessness of a prisoner, or helplessness, simply helplessness, and agony and slavery. So these are all the things can be considered as a theme for this poem. It will be helpful to you. Thank you for watching Envision English.